Seth Ferranti here, your guide through the dark corners of the criminal underworld. As an outlaw filmmaker, author, and journalist, I've delved deep into the minds of gangsters, drug lords, and prison gangs. But my journey doesn't stop there. Let me take you on a thrilling ride as we explore the hidden stories and untold truths that lurk behind the prison walls.
What's up? I'm Seth Ferranti. Welcome to Seth Ferranti's True Crime. Today we take a hard look into the incredible life of Joe "Peg Leg" Morgan. The white dude, he became a Mexican Mafia leader and left an undeniable mark on the criminal underworld. Morgan's rise to power and infamy within the vicious world of La M would change the landscape of gangland forever.
There's a scene in the movie American Me where actor William Forsythe, who plays JD, the character based on the legendary Mexican Mafia godfather Joe "Peg Leg" Morgan, hits the yard at Dual Vocational Institution as a newbie and is immediately confronted by white prisoners. The whites quickly realize that JD isn't the typical peckerwood when he responds to them in Spanish, and a group of Mexican-American gangsters roll up, glaring at the woods, and embrace JD as one of their own. The scene goes even more in depth when one of the Mexican Americans questions the shot caller Santana about JD being white and rolling with them. Santana kills the issue by letting his homeboy know that JD was down with the clique. He was a homeboy with heart, courage, and discipline who would become a top shot caller in the vicious prison gang known as La M.A., an ever-present and dangerous entity in California's Department of Corrections. Joe Morgan was a nails-tough Croatian who grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood in East L.A. Scott Bernstein, who runs GangsterReport.com, says, Morgan was incarcerated for 40 years for crimes ranging from bank robbery to murder. He escaped jail twice, committed murders like he had a license, developed Mexican cartel connections and ties to the Italian Mafia. In the chronicles of gangster lore, he was the equivalent of a John Gotti or Pablo Escobar type figure, an infamous gangster known for cold-bloodedness as well as intelligence and charm. He became a prison celebrity. Although Slavic culturally, he adopted Mexican ways and spoke Spanish perfectly. Richard Valdemar, a retired Los Angeles Sheriff's Department veteran gang investigator for 33 years, says, as a kid, he joined one of the Maravilla gangs in East Los Angeles. He's unusual because he's a white boy who grew up in the projects. If you met him and hung out with him for just a few moments, you'd forget that he was white. Although he was a güero, Morgan understood what it was like to be a part of LA's Vado Loco underworld.
We're about to uncover the hidden layers of Joe Morgan's character, from his escape attempts to his reputation as a mentor and visionary within the Mexican Mafia. Morgan's story is one of resilience, viciousness, and unwavering loyalty.
Joseph P. Morgan was born April 10, 1929 in East Los Angeles. Raised in the barrios of East LA, Morgan was a Chicano at heart who identified as Mexican American and also happened to be one of the baddest motherfuckers around. A big kid for his age, well over 6 feet, it wasn't long before he got in trouble over an older woman. Elvira Rojo seduced and bedded the teenager, offering him $1,000 to kill her husband. In the early morning of September 16, 1945, Morgan walked into the husband's room and busted open his skull with a rubber hammer. At just 16 years old, Joe Morgan murdered his 32-year-old girlfriend's husband and buried his body, Chris Casparosa, the author of For Blood and Loyalty, said. Then, while awaiting trial in the L.A. County Jail, Morgan keyed in on William Westbrook, another 16-year-old who was being transferred to a country forestry camp. Morgan posed as his cellmate and escaped from jail, making it no shock that he went on to become a leader in what the government has alleged is the most dangerous prison gang ever. The next day, Morgan impersonated Westbrook when guards came to transfer him to the camp. After forging his signature on a booking slip, Morgan got into a car with a probation officer sans handcuffs. At San Fernando Boulevard and Colorado Street in Glendale, Morgan jumped from the car, took off, and escaped. The sheriff's department didn't realize a homicide suspect had escaped until hours later. The young criminal was a fugitive, a wanted man, and he made page 2 of the LA Times with his ballsy escape. He was a daring outlaw of epic proportions, but Morgan wouldn't be free for very long. He got captured a couple weeks later on March 8th. Christian Cipollini, who runs GanglandLegend.com, said, the cops got a tip on his whereabouts, and when they showed up, Morgan took off running. The officer shot the fugitive in the leg, shattering the bone and stopping Morgan in his tracks. Due to complications, his leg was amputated just below the knee. This led to authorities and the media dubbing the young criminal Peg Leg, although prison lore holds that no one ever dared call him that to his face.
After getting convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 5 years to life, Morgan was sent to Folsom State Prison due to what the judge called criminal sophistication. Despite being the youngest inmate to ever hit the yard, Morgan got mad props at the prison.
With his story and Elvira's photo in the papers every day, Morgan became a jailhouse celebrity. To his fellow prisoners, having sex with an attractive woman twice his age was a grand caper indeed. Morgan adjusted well and served 9 years at Folsom. In July of 1955, Morgan was paroled, but he wasn't in the world for long. On November 30th, 1955, he robbed a West Covina bank of $17,000 with a machine gun. He was arrested by the FBI at a bar in Long Beach 1 week later. Barely 26 years old, Morgan was sent back to state prison, a convicted murderer, bank robber, and escape risk. During the 4 decades he spent locked up in the toughest prisons in California, Morgan earned the respect of all prisoners and staff by conducting himself as a gentleman, but you could never forget that he was a gangster. If someone called him a white boy, he would have killed them.